to my channel. I know this is a bit different to the previous videos that I've posted, but I thought I would just come and do a drugstore get ready with me video. Definitely I feel like this is something I've been wanting to do but haven't done yet, so yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. So I've already done my brows. I did a brow routine shortly before this video, so I just thought, yeah, might as well just do my everyday sort of drugstore makeup routine that I would normally do if I'm going to work. So yeah, the brows are done. So if I am looking down, I've got my mirror in front of me. So I've done my brows and I've used the Rimmel brow pencil in the shade black brown, and then I used the Fawn Pro Concealer, so the Pro Concealer in the shade Fawn, just to conceal under my eyebrows. I haven't done the top of my eyebrows because with the concealers they can be quite oily, so I used the foundation that I used to conceal the top, and a little bit, like just a tiny bit. So now I'm going to use my primer for my face. I will use the matte face base by KIKO, and then I'm going to use the NYX pore filler. So the reason why I use the two together is because the matte one by KIKO, it's nice, keeps my face nice and matte during the day, and it's got a really nice consistency to it as well. It's not too grainy or thick. It's very, very silky and soft, which I quite like. But whereas the NYX one, that one fills in my, I feel like that one fills in my pores more. So I prefer to use this one and just concentrate it on areas where I feel I have larger pores, which is really near my nose area, and the sides of my mouth. So now that I've finished doing my primer, I'm going to use the foundation today, which is the Superstay full 24-hour full coverage foundation by Maybelline. So this is what I'm going to use today, and it's very, very close to my skin shade, and I'm using it in the colour or shade. What shade is this? 60 Caramel. Yeah, 60 Caramel. And with this one, I don't really need to mix. I find that it just matches my shade my colour really well, so I don't need to mix. It's a nice yellow sort of undertone, yellow/golden undertone. So I'm just gonna apply it onto my mixing palette that I have. I just do about 2 pumps. I don't really use a lot of foundation on a day-to-day basis because I don't really need to, so I'm gonna use a little bit. Yeah, with my e.l.f. Ultra blending brush. Very, very nice brush to use, very fluffy. So I'll just use my concealer brush just to apply my foundation all over my face. I try not to use my fingers because I just prefer to use a brush if I can, to the areas where I feel I need it. I don't really apply foundation to my forehead during the week. I just prefer to kind of leave that area with minimal product. I will apply like a foundation powder by MAC on my forehead because I just prefer it if my forehead didn't have so much product on it, and then I'll just kind of stipple and press the foundation into my skin. I don't really swipe the product, I'll just kind of press and stipple it in, and then I will take it over my eyelids as well. So that's how and then after, once I've put the product where I want it to be really concentrated, then I will blend. Because I feel like when you stipple the product, you know, you're keeping the product in one place and you're not moving around too much. So that's what I tend to do. And then I will stipple it down my neck area because it's not really cute to have two colours, one for your face, one for your neck. So, and then yeah, I just kind of put any excess product on my forehead, but very little product will go on my forehead. And that's that. Very, very nice. It's very quick to blend out as well. And I used about, I'd say about a pump and a half, almost 2 pumps for my face. And coverage is nice. It's not full. I wouldn't say it's full coverage. Even though it's a full coverage foundation, I think it's definitely buildable. But I wouldn't say it's full coverage. But it's a nice everyday foundation, definitely. So now I've blended out my foundation. This is the colour. I'm going to move on to concealer. So the concealer I will use will also be the e.l.f. concealer in the shade, I have 3 concealers from e.l.f. I've got 3. The first one is Tan Sand. This is when I want a really, really bright look. The second one is Deep Olive. And then the third one is Deep Chestnut. So the Tan Sand, I don't use that one for every day because obviously that is very, very, very bright for me. So I will use, first of all, the Deep Chestnut to conceal. And this one is slightly darker. And I do take up the side of my nose a little bit. This one is slightly darker. I always go in with a darker, not a darker concealer, something that's kind of like my shade colour first, and then something that is slightly a bit lighter. But I don't go in straight with a boom with a light concealer. I think that's just too much. You need to kind of build first, build with one that's slightly more your skin tone, and then build and go brighter if necessary. But as this is an everyday sort of like work makeup, this is what I would do. So then I will take my Morphe, this is the Morphe E8 brush. I was recommended this brush by one of the makeup artists in Morphe when I went to their branch in Westfield. And she was really nice, and she was just like, yeah, this is like a very good brush to blend. Because I do find that the sponges take a lot of product. And that's probably what I don't need. So using this brush is really, really good. Just be really light-handed. And it blends out very, very quickly, as you can see. So this is how it looks, which I quite like for every day. But then I'm gonna just top it up and make it a little bit brighter with the Deep Olive. This one is slightly lighter and more yellow tone. So I would just use a tiny bit under my eyes. I don't put anything on my forehead, just mainly under my eyes and top of my lip and bottom of my chin. So I will use that and just use the same brush to blend. So I always stipple the product first and then blend. And then that way you'll be able to not spread the concealer too thinly and then having to apply more and more and more. So I find that if you stipple the product first, that way, and then I'll just blend mainly towards the outer corners of where I'll apply the concealer instead of on top of the concealer itself. And then that way it stops it from thinning out too much. So that's that. So that's all blended. So now I'm going to use my Morphe M448 brush, and this brush is what I'm going to use to set my under eyes with my Maybelline powder. So I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me powder, matte and poreless powder, in the shade 332, which is Golden Caramel. It's a really nice shade, and the powder is very fine, very, very fine. So I'll just tap off the excess and I will just apply that to my under eye and above my eye as well to set where I've done my underneath my brow, conceal under my brow, and then I will take it down to the sides of my mouth, as well as on top of my lip and the other side. And then I will go above this, on top of this, with a translucent powder. I find that when I use a coloured base powder first and then I use a translucent powder, it stops me from getting that ghostly look under my eyes, which is just horrible. And with this powder, when it sets into your skin, maybe like after half an hour, it gives it a really nice natural look. So yeah, this is how I would, and then I'll just put the excess again on my forehead. And that's that. Then I will go in with just a regular wedge sort of sponge. And then I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way setting powder. Obviously this isn't drugstore, but I can't really find a drugstore one that I do like. So this is the only product, so you have to just excuse me. I'll just use a tiny bit, and I'll just use the end bit of the wedge, and then I will just quickly go over areas where would get very oily. I am somebody that wears glasses as well, so I have to go in and make sure that these areas are set well, because they tend to get really oily and then my glasses start to slide around, which isn't cute. And then I just press the rest on top of my brows as well, because I do get really oily brows as well. So that is mainly where I use the powder, and I'll just take the excess and I'll just drag it down sides of my mouth, and then I'll just use that same Morphe M448 brush to just dust everything off. Yes, and of course my face is probably looking incredibly dusty, but don't worry. Once I use my setting spray, it will all come back to life. But before then, I'm gonna now use my MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation in the shade NC45. So it looks like that shade. It does look quite light on camera, but real life it's more cool. I would say more cooler and a bit darker. It's not as bright. And then I will just use a fluffy, this is not a name brand one, fluffy brush, and just apply the product on like that, and then take it along the sides of my face and down towards my neck, because obviously this area I don't apply as much product. So this way I know that it's all blended in, and then I will take it onto my forehead as well, and then use it all over my face again. And this way is just making sure that all the products on my face work together. So that's why I've now added this product, and I quite like it. Looks quite natural. So now that I've done that, I will use a bronzer, because now my face looks one-dimensional and I need to add some dimension into my skin. So I'm going to be using two different bronzers. I like to mix two because I like the sort of effect it gives me. So I'm going to mix MAC Sunpower, the Mineralized Skin Finish, in this shade, which is really nice. It's got like a red undertone. And then I'm also going to be using the Morphe Glamour Bronze Face and Body Powder in Phenom, and it looks like that, Phenom. So I'm going to go in first with the MAC one, and then I'm going to go on top with the Morphe one. So the two combined, I love the way it looks. And then I'm just going to go in with just a regular sort of, it's like a blush angled brush. So first of all, I'm just going to go into my MAC one. You have to be quite light-handed because it is quite heavy. And then just I go quite higher up on the cheekbones, not too low down, because it's a very fluffy angled brush. If I go too low down, it will spread lower down on my face, and that won't look cute. And then I'm just apply the product to my forehead, and go higher up on my sides of my face, near my cheekbones. Just apply a tiny bit, because you can get carried away with blushes. And then I'm gonna add the Morphe one, and I like this shade. This one is more cooler. It's not as red as the MAC one, so that's why I said I quite like using it together. Just push this back, my scarf back, and then I'm gonna use like a smaller brush. I'm gonna go take this one down the sides of my chin as well, just so that I can bring some dimension to my chin area, you know. And then I'm gonna, so if you see at the side, that's how it looks, just which is how I like it, nice and airbrushed. Then I'm gonna take a smaller brush, like a flat sort of, this is like a flat shader brush, and then I'm gonna go into this Morphe one, and I'm gonna just go down the sides of my nose very lightly, and then I'm going to blend it out. And this is just to contour my nose. And then I'm gonna go back in with the brush, well, the buffer brush that I used for my eyebrows. So we'll have concealer on it and then go on top of it, just to really make sure that there isn't any harsh lines. So I kind of just go in between the two and to do that. And then I'll just go back over with my 448 brush, the one I used to set my under eyes, and just kind of go over everywhere again. Yeah, and I just check it, and yep, that's how I like it. And then I'm gonna just apply a very, most days I only apply a very light blush. So I'm gonna go into my Morphe blush trio. It's called yeah, blushes is called, oh, this one's called Pop of Poppy, and I love this one. Very, very nice colours in here. So we have Risky, Provocative and Bold. So I normally go into the Risky for every day, and then weekends I'll probably try the other two, but the Risky one is the one that I tend to go for every day. And then I'm just going to apply that higher up on my cheekbones. And I love this colour, it's very nice. It's probably mixed in with some of my other colours, because there's quite a lot of different colours on this, but I do quite like how it looks. And yeah, so I just apply it up here, up the side of my face. And yes, that's that. And then I'm going to go with my setting spray. I normally use 2 setting sprays, which the first one I'm going to use is this matte finish by NYX. Just shake that. Then the second one I use is this continuous setting spray, again by Morphe. I'm in love with Morphe, I'm sure you can tell. Yeah, just spray that on my face. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter as long as it's on your face. Then I will just wait for that to dry. So but when this dries fully, you will then get all the dimensions back into your skin. Your face will look more dewy, you know, you won't look like a crusty donut. Or you shouldn't look like a crusty donut. And then I don't really apply highlighter, because for every day I don't really feel like it's necessary. Each to their own. Some people do, some people don't, but I don't. So whilst I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to apply my, this is Rimmel's Extra Volume Mascara Flash. Just a very plain and simple mascara. I'll apply that on my lashes. That's what I'm going to do now. Yeah, so I'm just applying that, and I apply a little bit to my waterline. Not to my waterline, to my bottom lashes, not a lot, because it does tend to print. Sometimes my bottom lashes are quite long. To just put a tiny bit. Put a tiny bit. That's the mascara done. And then finally with the lip, I'm just going to apply Morphe again. The lip liner in the shade, in the colour Vibes. So I'm just going to use that to line my lips. I do leave the foundation that's come on my lips on my lips, because I feel like it looks better when I apply the colour. So this is a nice warm brown. I do quite like this one. So I do, when I do my lips, I do line my lips. I do line inside my lips because I've got quite big lips. So I don't tend to start overlining because I think on my lips that would look hideous. And then I would just go in with a lip shade. I'm just thinking about which lip shade to use. So I'm going to use, which one should I use? This one. So I'm going to use this one from NYX in the shade Beijing, which is like a nice pink. Apply just a little bit to the centre. So it looks like this when it's merged in with the brown, and then I'll just use this to kind of make my line sharper. And then I will just go over with a gloss so that it doesn't dry out and then again look crusty, because that wouldn't be cute. So then now I'm going to just put this on, which is the KIKO again in the shade 20. It's their Hydra lip gloss. So this one's got a little bit of shine. So this is the only place I like to put shine when I do my makeup. So just apply it to the centre again, because I have quite big lips. I don't go crazy. And then just press it to the top. I don't add too much more product. I don't add a lot of product to the top because I've got quite big lips and I don't want to make it look any bigger by going crazy. And then, yeah, this is the finished product. So this is my everyday sort of makeup look when I want to get ready to go to work. This is the sort of look I normally do. So I hope you like it. Please do comment down below, subscribe and share. Thank you for watching, guys.